The vast expanse of space stretched endlessly before the TDF Resilient, its titanium hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the command center, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that filled the air before her. The Terran Defense Force's flagship represented humanity's pinnacle of achievement, a testament to their determination to reach the stars despite their harsh origins on Earth. Humanity had emerged from their Deathworld crucible hardened and resourceful. Their home planet's high gravity, extreme weather patterns, and dangerous fauna had forged them into survivors. Now, centuries after their first tentative steps into space, they had built a fleet that commanded respect across known space. Not through conquest, but through their remarkable ability to overcome any challenge thrown their way. Captain, Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez's voice cut through the quiet hum of the bridge. "We're picking up something unusual on the long-range sensors." His fingers danced across the haptic interface, bringing up a new display. It's unlike anything we've encountered before." Sarah moved closer, her movements deliberate in the ship's artificial gravity. The signal pulsed on the display, a rhythm that seemed almost desperate in its regularity. Analysis. "It's definitely artificial, Captain," Rodriguez replied, his brow furrowed in concentration. "The pattern suggests it's a distress call, but it's using frequencies we've never seen. Whatever's sending this, they're putting everything they have into making sure someone hears them." The bridge crew worked in focused silence, their training evident in every precise movement. They were the best Earth had to offer, chosen not just for their skills, but for their ability to adapt and think creatively in crisis situations. It was what had always set humans apart, their capacity to improvise, to find solutions where none seemed possible. "Dr. Patel," Sarah called to her xenolinguistics expert, "what can you make of it?" Dr. Anjali Patel had already begun her analysis, her augmented reality interface projecting streams of data before her eyes. "It's beautiful in its complexity, Captain. Whoever designed this signal wanted it to be universally understood. They've embedded mathematical constants, atomic structures, basic concepts that any spacefaring race would recognize." She paused, her expression growing serious. "And there's something else. The urgency in the signal pattern. They're in serious trouble." Sarah felt the weight of command settle more heavily on her shoulders. The Resilient was technically on a routine patrol of the outer colonies, but nothing about this felt routine. "How far?" "The signal originates from the Carina Arm," Rodriguez answered. "About 3 weeks at maximum sustainable speed." 3 weeks. A lot could happen in 3 weeks. The signal could go silent. Whatever threat these unknown beings faced could already have. Sarah pushed the thought aside. If there was even a chance to help, they had to try. It was what humans did. They helped, they fought, they survived. "Plot a course," she ordered, her voice carrying the authority that had earned her command of humanity's most advanced vessel, "and send word to command. Tell them we're investigating a potential first contact scenario under Protocol 7. Protocol 7. The emergency response doctrine developed after humanity's first encounters with other civilizations. They had learned early on that the galaxy was vast and often dangerous, but they had also learned that extending a helping hand could forge alliances stronger than any treaty. As the Resilient's quantum drives spooled up, preparing for the jump to FTL, Sarah studied the signal pattern again. Something about its desperate rhythm reminded her of Earth's history, of SOS calls sent across vast oceans, of people reaching out into the darkness hoping someone would answer. "Doctor," she addressed Patel again, "keep working on decoding any additional information in that signal. I want to know everything we can before we arrive." Lieutenant Rodriguez, begin running combat simulations. Whatever drove an advanced civilization to send out this kind of distress call, we need to be ready for it. The ship hummed with increased power as the crew prepared for their mission. Sarah felt the familiar mixture of anticipation and caution that came with every potential first contact scenario. Humanity's history had taught them to be prepared for anything. Their survival on Earth had depended on it. Engineering reports drives at optimal capacity. Captain, Commander Jack O'Neill, her executive officer, reported from his station. We're ready for sustained FTL. Sarah nodded, her decision made. Take us in, helm. Maximum sustainable speed. She watched as the stars began to blur on the main viewport. Whatever we find out there, we'll face it together. It's what we do. It's what we've always done. The Resilient leaped into FTL, carrying its crew toward an unknown destiny. Behind them, Earth's colonial sphere continued its normal routines, but ahead lay a mystery, a cry for help, and perhaps humanity's next great challenge. As they traveled, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this mission would prove to be more than just another rescue operation. Something in that signal, in its complexity and desperation, spoke of a civilization that had exhausted all other options. And if there was one thing humans understood, it was fighting against impossible odds. Send a message to all hands, she ordered. I want everyone at their best. Whatever we're heading into, we carry humanity's reputation with us. We show them what Earth's children can do. The message was sent, and throughout the massive ship, her crew acknowledged. They were ready. They were human. And they would answer this call, wherever it led them. 3 weeks of FTL travel had given the crew of the Resilient time to prepare, but nothing could have truly readied them for what they found in the Mira system. The scene that greeted them as they dropped out of FTL was one of devastation and desperate resistance. A crystalline world hung in space, its surface gleaming with cities that seemed to have been grown rather than built. But the beauty was marred by massive impact craters and orbital debris that spoke of recent violent conflict. Around the planet, sleek vessels with organic curves fought against dark, angular ships that moved with unnaturally precise coordination. Multiple contacts, Rodriguez reported, his hands flying over his console. The defending forces appear to be crystalline-based technology, highly advanced. The attackers. He paused, checking his readings again. Captain, the attacking ships are showing both organic and mechanical signatures. There's some kind of hybrid technology we've never encountered. Sarah leaned forward, studying the tactical display. The defending ships, despite their obvious technological sophistication, were being systematically overwhelmed. Their formations spoke of intelligence and skill, but they were fighting a losing battle against an enemy that seemed to operate with a hive mind's coordination. Dr. Patel, broadcast on all frequencies, used the first contact package we developed from their distress signal. Moments later, the ship's quantum communications array sent out humanity's response, a carefully crafted message combining mathematical principles, peaceful intentions, and an offer of assistance. The response was almost immediate. A holographic figure materialized on the bridge, tall, elegant, with crystalline features that caught and reflected light in mesmerizing patterns. When it spoke, its words were translated through Dr. Patel's linguistic algorithms. I am High Commander Lysara of the Lyrian Collective. Your arrival is unexpected, but desperately welcomed. The figure's crystalline features shifted in what might have been relief. We have held out as long as we could. But the harvesters, they are relentless. Sarah stepped forward. I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force vessel Resilient. We're here to help. Tell us what we're dealing with. The harvesters, Lysara's form flickered as weapons fire impacted their shields. They appeared at the edge of our system 3 months ago. They're biomechanical entities that consume both organic and technological resources to expand their collective. We've never encountered anything like them. Our weapons damage them, but they adapt, they learn, they evolve. As if to emphasize the point, a nearby Lyrian vessel erupted in a brilliant explosion, torn apart by concentrated fire from 3 harvester ships. Sarah's jaw tightened. She'd seen enough. Commander Lysara, we're moving to support your forces. Rodriguez, battle stations. O'Neill, get our point defense grid online. These harvesters want to learn. Let's show them what humanity brings to a fight. The Resilient's hull hummed as weapon systems charge. Humanity's ships were built with lessons learned from surviving on Earth, redundant systems, adaptive shielding, and weapons designed to overcome evolving threats. They had never forgotten the challenges that had forged them. Multiple harvester vessels on an attack vector, Rodriguez reported. They're analyzing us. Let them. Sarah's voice was steel. Deploy the AEGIS defense screen. Launch fighter squadrons. Show them why you don't corner a species that evolved on a Deathworld. The Resilience fighter bays opened, releasing squadrons of human pilots. Unlike the automated systems of many spacefaring races, humanity had found that the unpredictability and innovative thinking of living pilots often gave them an edge. The fighters moved in formations that seemed chaotic, but were the result of centuries of aerial combat doctrine, evolved from dogfights in Earth's skies. The harvester ships moved to intercept, their previous attack patterns shifting as they encountered this new threat. But humans had been adapting to new threats since they first picked up stones as weapons on the African savanna. Enemy vessels attempting to establish some kind of connection with our systems, Rodriguez called out. Their code is like nothing I've seen. It's evolving as it attacks. Deploy cyber countermeasures, Sarah ordered. Active and passive. Switch to isolated combat networks. She turned to the hologram of Lazara. Commander, coordinate your forces with ours. We'll take point on the next assault. Your ships can exploit any weaknesses we find. The battle that followed demonstrated why humanity had survived countless challenges on their homeworld. The Resilience weapons blazed, its advanced targeting systems predicting and countering the Harvester's adaptive strategies. Human fighters darted between larger vessels, their pilots pulling maneuvers that seemed to defy physics, finding blind spots in the enemy's otherwise perfect coordination. But the Harvesters were learning, adapting their tactics with each exchange. A human fighter squadron discovered this when their previously successful attack run was met with precisely calculated counterfire. The Harvesters were formidable opponents, showing why they had pushed the technologically superior Lyrians to the brink. Captain, Lazara's hologram spoke urgently. We're detecting energy buildup in the largest harvester vessel. We've seen this before. They're preparing to deploy their main weapon. When they used it against our orbital defenses, Sarah didn't let her finish. All ships, evasive pattern delta. Redirect power to forward shields. Let's show these harvesters that humanity didn't come here to lose. The space battle intensified, setting the stage for a confrontation that would determine not just the fate of the Lyrian homeworld, but potentially the future of this entire sector of space. And at the heart of it all, the crew of the Resilient prepared to demonstrate why humanity's reputation as survivors was well-earned. The aftermath of the initial battle left both humans and Lyrians with much to consider. The Resilient had proven its worth, helping drive back the Harvester assault, but not without cost. Several human fighters had been lost, and the Lyrian fleet had suffered significant damage. In the crystalline command center of the Lyrian capital city, Captain Chen stood with High Commander Lazara, studying tactical displays that sparkled like diamonds in the alien light. Your intervention bought us time, Lazara said, her crystalline features refracting light in patterns that seemed to match her emotions. But the Harvesters will return. They always return stronger. Sarah nodded, watching holographic replays of the battle. They adapt quickly, but so do we. That's what humans do best. She turned to Dr. Patel, who was examining Lyrian technical data. What have you found? Their technology is fascinating, Captain, Anjali replied, her augmented reality display reflecting off her dark eyes. The Lyrians have developed crystalline computing far beyond anything we've achieved. Their ships don't just use crystals for data storage. They're grown from living crystal matrices. And yet we cannot defeat the Harvesters. Lazara's voice carried a note of frustration. Our technology is more advanced, but they learn from every encounter. They consume, they adapt, they evolve. Maybe that's been the problem, Sarah said thoughtfully. You've been fighting them with pure technology. But humans, she smiled slightly, we fight with everything we have. Technology, instinct, Improvisation. Sometimes, the most primitive solution is the one they won't expect. Commander O'Neill entered the chamber, his heavy footsteps echoing off the crystal walls. Engineering reports from both fleets, Captain. The Lyrians' repair technologies are incredible. They're literally growing replacement parts for their damaged ships. But our engineers have some ideas about combining our technologies. This was humanity's strength, the ability to take new ideas and merge them with their own solutions. While other species might excel in particular areas, humans had evolved to be adaptable, to take the best of everything they encountered and forge it into something new. "Show me," Sarah ordered, and O'Neill brought up a new holographic display. The engineering proposal was ambitious, a way to integrate Lyrian crystalline technology with human weapon systems. The crystals could process targeting data faster than any computer, while human tactical systems could provide the unpredictability that the harvesters struggle to counter. Lizera studied the proposal, her crystalline features shifting in what Sarah had learned to recognize as surprise. This is unorthodox. To merge technologies in this way, most species we've encountered would consider it impossible, or at least inadvisable. "Impossible is what humans do best," Sarah replied with a grim smile. "On Earth, we have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When our backs are against the wall, we innovate." As they discussed the integration of their technologies, Dr. Patel made another discovery. She had been analyzing data from the harvesters' attacks, looking for patterns that might reveal their true nature. "Captain, Commander," she called out, her voice urgent. "I think I understand what the harvesters really are. They're not just consuming resources, they're consuming information. Every battle, every encounter, they're gathering data about different species' technologies and biological patterns. They're building a library of life." The revelation sent a chill through the command center. Sarah remembered Earth's history, how various empires had collected knowledge, artifacts, and resources from conquered peoples. But this was different. This was consumption on a scale that threatened the very existence of entire species. "That's why they adapt so quickly," O'Neill said, understanding dawning on his face. "They're not just learning from their defeats, they're actively absorbing everything they can about us. Every weapon we use, every tactic we employ, becomes part of their collective knowledge." Lizara finished. "We've noticed they never completely destroy their targets. They always leave enough to harvest." Sarah's mind raced with the implications. The harvesters weren't just an enemy. They were a force of nature, consuming and evolving with every encounter. But nature was something humans understood intimately. Their entire history had been shaped by adapting to and overcoming natural challenges. "Then we give them something they can't digest," she declared. "If they want to learn about humanity, let's teach them why Earth is classified as a death world. Let's show them what happens when you back a predator species into a corner." The next hours were a flurry of activity. Human engineers worked alongside Lyrian crystal shapers, combining technologies in ways neither species had imagined possible. Fighter pilots shared combat techniques with Lyrian ship commanders, teaching them the unpredictable patterns that had evolved from aerial combat on Earth. In return, the Lyrians showed them how to use crystalline technology to enhance their neural interfaces, improving reaction times and coordination. But even as they worked, long-range sensors detected the harvesters regrouping. The enemy fleet was growing, incorporating aspects of both human and Lyrian technology into their ships. The next battle would be decisive. Either their combined strength would be enough to drive back the harvesters, or both species would fall to the relentless tide of consumption. "How much time do we have?" Sarah asked, watching the sensor feeds. "They'll return within 48 hours, Lizora replied. "Their fleet is larger now. They're incorporating everything they learned from our last encounter." Sarah's expression hardened. "Then we have 48 hours to do what humans do best: adapt, improvise, and prepare to fight like hell." Let's make sure these harvesters learn exactly why you don't threaten a species that evolved fighting everything their homeworld could throw at them. The alliance of humans and Lyrians worked tirelessly, preparing for a battle that would determine not just their own fate, but potentially the fate of countless other species. The harvesters were coming, stronger than ever, but they were about to learn that some prey bites back. The harvester fleet emerged from hyperspace like a dark tide, their ships now bearing twisted approximations of both human and Lyrian technology. The once angular vessels had developed crystalline growths, while others showed signs of adapting human-style armor configurations. They moved with even greater coordination than before, a vast swarm of biomechanical predators hungry for new knowledge to consume. Aboard the Resilient, Sarah watched the enemy fleet's approach on the enhanced crystal displays. The bridge hummed with new energy as human and Lyrian technologies worked in concert. "Status report," she commanded. "Hybrid defense systems at full power," Rodriguez reported. "Crystal matrices are optimizing faster than our original computers ever could." "The Lyrian upgrades are..." "They're beautiful, Captain." "Harvester fleet composition has changed," O'Neill added. "They're showing evolutionary adaptations based on our previous encounter. But there's something else." He frowned at his readings. "They've developed some kind of central control ship. It's massive." The vessel O'Neill referred to dwarfed its companions, a nightmarish fusion of organic, mechanical, and crystalline components. It pulsed with dark energy, like a malevolent heart at the center of the swarm. "That's their command center." Dr. Patel's voice was tense. "All the data they've collected, all the adaptations they've made, they're processing it through that ship. It's like a library of conquered civilizations." Sarah's jaw tightened. "Then that's our target. All ships, battle formations. Remember your training. Unpredictable patterns, just like we practiced. Don't let them anticipate our moves." The combined fleet moved into position. Human vessels had been upgraded with Lyrian crystal technology, while Lyrian ships now sported modified human weapon systems. Fighter squadrons launched, their pilots' neural interfaces enhanced by crystal processors, giving them reaction times that would have been impossible just days ago. The harvesters struck first, their weapons now carrying traces of Lyrian energy signatures. But the defenders were ready. The Resilient's hybrid shields flared as they absorbed the attack, the crystalline matrix redistributing energy more efficiently than traditional systems ever could. "Return fire," Sarah ordered. "Show them what happens when humanity and the Lyrians work together." The battle erupted in earnest. Human fighters darted between larger vessels, their enhanced reflexes allowing them to perform maneuvers that defied conventional physics. Lyrian ships moved in formations that seemed random but were guided by both crystal logic and human intuition, making their patterns impossible for even the harvesters' adaptive algorithms to predict. But the enemy was formidable. For every ship they destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. The harvesters were learning, adapting in real time to every tactic thrown at them. A squad of human fighters would find success with a particular attack run, only to face devastating losses when they tried it again. "We're losing too many ships," Lizara's voice came through the command channel. "They're adapting too quickly. Even our combined technologies can't." "Wait," Sarah interrupted, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Look at their pattern. Every adaptation, every countermove, it all flows from that command ship. They're not just learning, they're being directed." Dr. Patel's hands flew over her console. "She's right. The command ship isn't just coordinating them. It's processing all the new information, sending out updates to the entire fleet. It's their brain. And like any brain," Sarah said grimly, "it can be overloaded. Rodriguez, what would happen if we fed conflicting data through their network?" A slow smile spread across the tactical officer's face. "The crystal processors we got from the Lyrians, they're fast enough to generate random combat data. If we could transmit that directly into their command and control systems." "Do it," Sarah ordered. "Full broadcast, every frequency they've shown interest in. Load it with as much contradictory information as you can. Combat maneuvers that make no sense, weapon configurations that shouldn't exist. Give them more data than they can process. The plan was quintessentially human, using the enemy's strength against them. The Harvester's hunger for information became their weakness as the combined fleet bombarded their command ship with a flood of nonsensical data. Ships that should turn left went right. Weapons powered up but didn't fire. Signals indicated both retreat and advance simultaneously. The effect rippled through the Harvester fleet. Ships began to move erratically, their perfect coordination failing as their central processor struggled to make sense of the conflicting information. Some vessels simply stopped, while others began firing at random targets, including their own ships. "It's working," O'Neill reported, excitement creeping into his voice. "Their adaptive algorithms are trying to process everything at once. They can't handle the conflicting data streams. All ships, concentrate fire on the command vessel," Sarah ordered. "Everything you've got. Don't let them recover." The combined fleet struck with everything they had. Human gunners, their reactions enhanced by crystal interfaces, landed shots with impossible precision. Lyrian energy weapons, modified with human targeting systems, cut through the command ship's confused defenses. But even as they pressed their advantage, Sarah knew the victory wasn't certain. The Harvesters were adapting, trying to isolate their systems from the data attack. They had to end this now, before the enemy could evolve a defense against their strategy. "Resilient, moving to point-blank range," she announced. "Prepare to execute Protocol Omega." O'Neill's head snapped up. "Captain, at that range, the feedback from their systems could fry every crystal processor we have." Sarah finished. "I know, but we won't get another chance like this. Sometimes you have to risk everything to win." The Resilient surged forward, its hybrid engines pushing it closer to the massive command ship than any vessel had dared to go. At this range, the data attack would be devastating to both sides. "All hands, brace for impact," Sarah called. "Let's show these Harvesters what happens when you push humanity too far." The space around the Harvester command ship blazed with energy as the Resilient closed to point-blank range. Crystal matrices throughout the human vessel hummed with power as they channeled every scrap of data they could generate into the enemy's systems. The feedback was devastating. Throughout the ship, displays crackled with energy, and crew members ripped off their neural interfaces as the overload threatened to overwhelm them. "Crystal processors at critical levels," Rodriguez called out, his voice strained as he worked through the pain of maintaining his own interface. "We're burning out systems faster than they can regenerate." Sarah gripped her command chair, watching as their gambit unfolded. The massive Harvester vessel writhed before them, its biomechanical structure contorting as it tried to process the flood of contradictory information. Throughout the battlefield, smaller Harvester ships began to lose cohesion, their movements becoming increasingly erratic. "Lyrian fleet reporting similar system damage," O'Neill reported. "They can't maintain this level of data transmission much longer without burning out their entire crystal network." "They don't have to," Sarah responded, her eyes fixed on the enemy command ship. "Look, their central processor is starting to collapse under the strain. All ships, prepare to execute final attack pattern. We end this now." The combined human Lyrian fleet moved with practiced precision, despite their failing systems. They had trained for this, prepared for the moment when technology might fail them. This was where human instinct and Lyrian precision would have to carry them through. But the Harvesters had one final surprise. As their command ship systems began to fail, it started to transform. Its massive hull split open, revealing a core of pure energy, the accumulated knowledge and power of countless consumed civilizations. "Energy spike," Dr. Patel shouted. "They're going to release everything they've absorbed. The blast radius, it could destroy half the system." Sarah's mind raced. This was the Harvester's final adaptation. If they couldn't consume this knowledge, they would use it as a weapon. The burst of power would not only destroy the defending fleet but would likely render the Lyrian homeworld uninhabitable. "There has to be a way," she muttered, then louder. Dr. Patel, could the Lyrian crystals absorb that energy? The entire crystal network is already overtaxed, Patel replied. We'd need something bigger, more robust. She paused, her eyes widening. The planet. The entire Lyrian world is one massive crystal matrix. Sarah opened a channel to Lazara. Commander, your world. Could it channel that energy? Could your planetary crystal network handle that kind of power? There was a moment of silence before Lazara responded. Yes, it could. But we'd need a way to direct the energy. Our planetary defense grid wasn't designed for power absorption on this scale. Then we'll give you a conductor, Sarah said firmly. All hands, prepare for emergency maneuver. We're going to position the Resilient between that blast and the planet. Our hull is lined with enough crystal tech now to act as a focusing array. Captain, O'Neill protested, the ship won't survive that kind of energy transfer. No, Sarah agreed, but the crew will. Order emergency evacuation of all non-essential personnel. Volunteer skeleton crew only for this last part. The next few minutes were a blur of activity. Escape pods launched, carrying most of the Resilience crew to safety. Sarah watched them go, knowing that what came next would likely destroy humanity's most advanced vessel. But sometimes, victory demanded sacrifice. Harvester energy core reaching critical levels, Rodriguez reported. The few crew members who remained at their posts worked with grim determination. They were humans, and humans did what needed to be done. Take us in, Sarah ordered. Position us directly in the energy path. Divert all power to the crystal arrays. The Resilient moved into position as the Harvester command ship began its final destruction sequence. Around them, the remaining fleet took up defensive positions, ready to intercept any Harvester ships that might try to interfere. Energy release in 10 seconds, Patil announced. Crystal network aligned with planetary grid. We'll only get one shot at this. Sarah stood from her command chair, facing the view screen that showed the massive enemy vessel in its death throes. Whatever happens next, I want you all to know, this is humanity at its finest. We came to help, and that's exactly what we're going to do. The Harvester core detonated in a blast that momentarily outshone the system's sun. The Resilience crystal-enhanced hull caught the energy wave, its structure groaning under forces it was never designed to withstand. Through their remaining neural interfaces, the crew could feel the power flowing through the ship's systems, being channeled down to the planet below. The Lyrian world's crystal surface began to glow as it absorbed the energy, transforming the destructive power into something new. What would have been devastation became renewal, the planet's crystal matrix using the energy to repair damage from months of warfare. When the light faded, the Harvester fleet was gone. The Resilient hung in space, its hull scared and systems failing, but its crew alive. Below, the Lyrian world shimmered with new energy, its crystal cities gleaming brighter than ever. Status report, Sarah called out, picking herself up from where the final surge had thrown her. Hull integrity at 12%. O'Neill responded, checking systems. Crystal network is burned out. But he smiled. We're alive, and the Harvesters are gone. In the days that followed, as repair efforts began and the Resilience evacuated crew returned, Sarah stood with Lazara in the Lyrian capital, watching as their two species worked together to rebuild. The Harvester threat was ended, but something new had been born in its place, an alliance forged in battle, strengthened by sacrifice, and built on mutual respect. Your people are remarkable, Lazara said, her crystalline features reflecting the renewed energy of her world. When we sent that distress call, we hoped for aid. Instead, we found partners. Sarah smiled, watching as human engineers and Lyrian crystal shapers worked side by side, combining their knowledge to create something greater than either could have achieved alone. That's what humans do, she replied. We adapt, we overcome, and we never leave allies to face their battles alone. The stars shone down on a changed system, one where humanity had once again proved that their greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons, but their unwavering determination to stand together against impossible odds. The harvesters had sought to consume knowledge, but in the end, they had helped create something far more powerful: hope for a future where different species could face any challenge together.